Update: my Mill photoshopped my husband's nose on our wedding pictures, by username actualmudpup. Hey dudes, I'm back. Thank you to everyone who took the time to offer me advice on my last post. First of all, I want to clarify that not telling my husband what his mother did was never an option. She wouldn't remove the pictures from her house unless I either told him or threatened her. Had I done the latter, she could use that against me in the future or even imply I agreed with her. Plus, he was bound to find out at some point, and I knew it would be better if it came from me. I asked how to do it, not whether I should. So I sat him down last Saturday and broke the news. I explained what the pictures were and Mill's excuses for them. I also showed him the texts she'd sent me since my visit. The whole conversation, I was calm and straightforward, but made it very clear that not only did Mill's actions completely disgust me, but I never agreed with her about his appearance. He's the most gorgeous man I've ever met, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with his nose. I also made sure to point out that the photoshopped nose made him look like front-facing Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, and Mill needs to get her eyes checked if she really thought it looked good. I thought the news would hurt him, and I was right. He didn't cry or anything, but I could see it in his face. The odd, but common combination of disappointment and acceptance. He knew his mother wouldn't change, but still had some hope. It was almost heartbreaking to watch. But for the first time in a while, he seemed to believe me when I said his nose was normal. He told me that now that he knew just how ridiculous Mill was willing to be, her opinion meant a lot less to him. So even though he's hurt, he feels stronger than ever. As many of you suggested, I told him that he was free to approach the situation however he pleased, but I don't want to be around his mother anymore. Most importantly, I don't want her around our son, or any other kids we might have. Not only because of the guilt-tripping tantrums that have become her standard behavior, but also because of the way she treats the people she's supposed to love. I know she loves her family, but I doubt she knows how love works. If she's willing to treat her sons like this, I fully expect her to be even worse to her grandchildren. In the end, my husband and I decided we're going very LC with Mill until the holidays. Some of his relatives are throwing a party the week before Christmas, and she'll be there. We thought about skipping it, but he has cousins he hasn't seen in years coming for the party. He's been looking forward to seeing them for months, and it doesn't feel fair to let Mill ruin his excitement. After the holidays, we'll decide how to proceed. Regardless, she won't be allowed to see our son at the hospital when he's born. And once we bring him home, she won't be left alone with the baby. It doesn't matter how much she tries to improve, that is not something we're willing to budge on. In spite of everything, my husband doesn't want to cut ties with his mother, and I understand that. Even if he wanted to, he can't go fully NC without cutting off the rest of his maternal family as well, which he is firmly against. What works best for now is to treat her like Domino's Pizza. She exists and that's fine, but we're not getting involved until she actually improves. I also decided to tell some of my own family about this, and everyone I've talked to agrees that Mill went over the line. My father is a narcissist who I'm mostly LC with due to his entitled behavior. Most recently, he tried to make me disinvite his ex from my wedding so he could bring his mistress, and even he was offended on my husband's behalf. And if even my mediocre, respect your elders father thinks your children are right about you being an asshole, you've probably gone too far. We talked to my BIL, and he's the one who informed Mill of our decision. She didn't take the news well. She's now trying to call both me and my husband, and keeps texting apologies and promises to take the pictures down. We're ignoring her. BIL visited her yesterday, and apparently the pictures are gone. She believed that was enough for us to forgive her, but he clarified that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. Before anyone calls us dramatic, this isn't just about the Photoshop. This is about the damage she's caused in both her sons' lives. I was abused in a similar fashion in my teens by Dad's ex, and I refuse to allow my child to grow up believing he's anything less than beautiful. Same goes for my husband. That's all. Again, thank you guys. My parents' small business is being review bombed because I stood up to a child abuser, by user Asian Stranger. My parents have owned a small Chinese restaurant for the past 25 years. Recently, I spent a day working there as a waiter and a big party of 11 people came in with their children. Their children were pretty rowdy and running around on top of our benches. I politely asked the parents to calm their children down as they were causing a disturbance and could hurt themselves. The parents made a half-hearted attempt to calm them down, but the children returned to running around on the benches. Unfortunately, one of their kids fell and hit his head. The child was stunned, holding his head, and looked like he was in massive pain. Others came to his care as well as his mother, but the father told his child to get over it and to suck it up when the child started crying, all while he attempted to rush out the door. He didn't even try to look after his kid when he got hurt. I watched all of this silently until the father was pushing his kid to get out of the restaurant. At that point, I had enough and told the father he could try being more empathetic to his child. He told me to mind my own business and I continued to repeat how his child had just hurt himself and that he needed attention rather than neglect. The father just kept repeating mind your own business as his friends and family were holding him back from approaching me. I was behind the front counter the whole time. I spoke sternly and never swore. I tried to be as professional as I could while trying to make my point. Now they're review bombing my parents' restaurant and I can't help but think it was all my fault. I've tried responding as the business with context, but they keep deleting their review whenever I respond, and they keep writing new ones saying that I deleted their reviews. Is there anything I can do to prevent review bombing? I don't want my parents to suffer because of my actions. Thank you for any responses. Here is the context I replied with for their reviews. Context. This customer's child fell and hit his head. He was stunned and was holding his head. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. The father's response was to tell his child to get over it, suck it up, and to rush out of the door because he wanted to get home, all while the child was not responding to him and others were coming to his care, instead of his own parent. The mother did rush over. Our waiter asked the father to be more empathetic to his child, who had just hurt themselves, in a confrontational, but in no way physical or aggressive, manner. Yes, our waiter did become confrontational, but he was in no way the physical or aggressive to the customer. Our waiter stood behind the counter at all times and did not swear. He spoke sternly to the man asking him to be more empathetic to his child. The man had to be held back by his friends and family from approaching our waiter. The customers were also previously warned by our waiter not to let their kids run around on top of our benches as it could be dangerous. The parents made an attempt to tell them to stop, but sometime later, the children were back to playing on the benches and unfortunately hurt themselves. Entitled Dad gets pissy at me for not letting him break the law, by user disappointed_shrew_. I sell archery gear, and bow hunting is highly regulated here. Only pest species are allowed to be hunted, nothing native. This guy calls up, and the following conversation occurs. C. Hi, I just moved here and I want to buy a bow to hunt snakes. Me, okay, I should probably tell you that. C. That it's illegal, I know. But I still want to do it. He knows it's illegal but still asked, red flag alert. Me, I can't sell you equipment if I know you are going to use it to break the law. C. Fine whatever, I'm not going to hunt snakes with it. Me, but you are, you already said you are. At this point the customer knows he already fucked up by telling me his intentions. C. Well, how can I move forward with this? Me, my recommendation is to contact your local pest control services for snake removal if you are having a snake problem. C. No, I mean how can I move forward with buying a bow from you? Me, I'm not selling you anything that I know will be used to break the law. C. I know they're a protected species but I have to protect my kids, I have the right to protect them from dangerous wildlife. Me, they're a protected species for a reason, you don't have the right to kill them just because they're dangerous and I cannot condone the behavior you're advocating for. There are legal ways to deal with this problem. C. Oh, Mr. High and Mighty over here. You sell equipment knowing that it'll be used to kill innocent bambus but a dangerous snake is crossing the line, you're a fucking hypocrite. Me, hunting deer is legal because they are a pest species that destroys native flora and fauna and they need to be culled as they have no natural predators here. Snakes live here natively and are an important part of the ecosystem. In this circumstance, you're the deer. A dangerous pest species that is a threat to the native wildlife. C. My kids come first and fuck you and fuck the government for protecting snakes. None of you can tell me what to do and no law is going to stop me from. Me, goodbye. At that point I hung up. I understand the desire to protect your kids, but his entitled attitude and complete disregard for the law is unsettling. M pushes in front of my little girl to get to the disabled/changing loo, by user Vixen Ross. In the UK we have a radar scheme, where disabled people have a key to access the disabled toilets. The problem with disabled toilets are that they become shared spaces, so in most cases they lump changing tables and cleaning equipment in there as well. My little girl tends to go out in front and open the door for me when I need the loo. So my little girl runs on ahead, and opens the door for me. Karen blanks her, steps around me and straight into the disabled loo with her child. I'm left standing there, fuming, thinking WTF did she just do? Karen steps out after what seemed like an eternity and said I needed to change my child first. I didn't want to wait ages. I didn't say anything. I wish I had have said something there and then, but couldn't think of anything. She left and went back to her table, I presume. The evil pacifier that targeted my toddler, and the mother who didn't bat an eye at her children who were chucking and hurling it across the room at top speeds, by user influence chemical. I was at a church service the other day with some friends, my wife, and my 14-month-old son. After the service, these two siblings, one looked to be about 2, and the other was maybe 5/6, were running around the lobby, throwing this kid's pacifier with a clip up in the air and playing catch with it. The pacifier was launched about 30 feet up in the air and about 10 feet, probably farther, that's just a guess, across the room every time. One more forceful throw sent the pacifier hurtling across the lobby, flying through the air and landing at my feet, so I picked it up and brought it over to their mom, who was sitting on a couch looking at her phone, not paying attention to her 2 children. I went over to her and told her, your kids were throwing this, just thought you should know, in a very kind, casual way, and laughed. I thought that maybe she didn't know what her kids were doing. She gave me the most thinly veiled, dirtiest look I've ever received. Okay. That's fine, she said, and sighed profusely. I walked away and went on to mind my own business. 15 minutes later, my wife handed me our son so he could play with some toys in the lobby. He started to walk around a little, so I followed him, and that's when I saw these 2 kids throwing the pacifier again, their mom still looking at her phone in the same place as before. The pacifier was hurled across the entire lobby again before my very eyes. My eyes widened as I realized it was a projectile coming for my precious offspring. Before I could even process what was going on, it came catapulting towards my toddler's head. Before I was able to even lift a finger to catch it, it precisely hit its target. My eyes widened. The metal clip part had struck my son in the back of the head. His eyes started to well up, until the inevitable scream cry came pouring out at the top of his lungs. I picked him up to comfort him. I grabbed the pacifier off the floor, walked towards the mother, and told her, excuse me, this hit my kid in the head, just wanted to let you know so that no one gets hurt. I said, with my crying child in my other arm. She gave me the dirtiest of all looks again. She raised an eyebrow and gave me that what the hell, look, if you know what I mean. She said nothing else, got up, grabbed her kids and stomped out the door with a very angry, unpleasant look on her face. No clue where she went after that. Weirdest experience of my life involving my child. He still has a mark on the back of his head.